Whilst he became avoiding his eyes, I noticed the bulge of the broccoli that turned into scene. I do not know why. However, I grabbed the broccoli directly with my hand. I began to squeeze it a touch. Whilst that became the case, he didn't maintain it any longer, and discovered the broccoli. He lifted me to the dining table. The broccoli was now internal. My trap, at first it moved, slowly returned and forth. "Oh, hello, had been you right here? I was simply telling you what we've been via. Let me begin from the start so that you can discover how things advanced. My call is Mary. I am 54 years vintage. I have been widowed for the closing summers. My late husband Alfred changed into no longer precisely the person of my dreams. I understand it sounds merciless. However, permits be actual, he changed into a tough guy, stuck in his ways and suffered from his very own disappointments for years. It wasn't terrible, just I am uninterested in life when he passed. To be honest, our marriage became greater about obligation than love after he died. I notion that a part of my life changed into closed. I wasn't seeking out anything or each person. I spent my days tending to my small garden, knitting within the evenings and preserving up with the same old own family gatherings. Then Liam got here. Liam is my past due husband's grandson from his first marriage. He's 27 years vintage. He is tall. He has these piercing green eyes and this quiet intensity about him. While he visited as an infant, he was continually well-mannered, however remote. Nevertheless, he came to stay for some weeks that summer, a easy visit. He had stopped by means of on his way to his family within the countryside. The primary few days exceeded without incident. Liam usually kept to himself, exploring the close-by forests or reading books at the porch. I found myself looking him from the kitchen window, not in an unusual manner, just observing. There was something extraordinary, approximately him. There has been an unhappiness, approximately him, as though he have been attempting to find something he couldn't name. It started out innocently enough. One afternoon, I was suffering with an antique timber fence that needed to be repaired. Liam supplied to assist. He failed to say a whole lot. He simply picked up the tools and got to work. Looking him reminded me of a younger Alfred, robust, targeted, decided, however, wherein Alfred become usually grumpy and remote. Liam became type and attentive as the days become weeks. We began spending an increasing number of time collectively. He might sit at the porch with me within the evening, sipping his tea as the solar sank under the horizon. We might speak about everything and not anything, and plans, my memories, the little matters that make up a existence. There was a comfort in his presence, a connection I hadn't felt in years. One afternoon, I decided to clean the attic, an area that had no longer been touched since Alfred's death. Dirt become floating within the solar's rays. As I looked after the antique containers, Liam regarded at the door, his blouse sticking to his pores and skin from the summertime warmth he provided to help. And earlier than I should protest, he become at my side, lifting a heavy chest as if it had no weight. We found a field full of old photographs, and I couldn't prevent smiling as I confirmed him the photos from my kids. He examined them carefully, stroking the edges of the marks together with his fingers. "You're so beautiful," he said while he regarded up. There was something in his eyes that I couldn't understand. A combination of interest, longing, and something deeper. The air among us grew heavy, thick, adorned with unspoken words. Then suddenly he kissed me slowly, however efficiently, on the lips. It turned into incorrect. I pulled lower back reflexively. But did I need it? I do not know this time. He must have observed my hesitation because he pressed himself tightly to my lips as if I were awaiting this. I returned the kiss over and over again. It went on for approximately 5 minutes, and he made the primary flow. His palms were on my frame. I used to be wearing a cream-colored dress. The feeling of the gentle touches become climbing from my toes to my trap, because the climb persisted. The action's internal me was ordinary sounds coming from my mouth. While he heard those sounds, he failed to need to prolong it any. Similarly, the bulge of the bundle became obvious from the outdoor. I was betraying Alfred. Whilst you realized I was seeking to turn away, he reached his finger into my lure after the power I had in that second. That concept gave way to a high-quality preference. I informed him to do it faster. He went quicker and quicker, till I let out a scream that shook the whole house. I stood there as if nothing had occurred, and straightened my dress. When I got up from the floor, I noticed the wetness of the timber. I nodded, pulled my hand away, and immersed myself within the greens. But I wasn't okay. Something become transferring internal. Me, something I couldn't name. We can't preserve doing this, I stated, my voice barely audible. He did not answer. He just stood there, his expression unreadable. Then, without a phrase, he approached final the distance among between us at the same time as keeping off his eyes. I observed the bulge of the broccoli visible above his pants. I do not know why. However, I grabbed the broccoli without delay with my hand. I started out to squeeze a bit while this became the case. He did not hold it anymore and revealed the broccoli. He lifted me to the eating desk. The broccoli turned into now internal its lure. At first it moved slowly again and forth. Its impact on both people turned into like waves of vibration. It made the wine glasses on the desk sway. The kisses have been like vines enveloping each different our bodies were two our bodies, but at that moment, they have been one soul. At that second, it failed to count number who it turned into. We were both like two strangers playing themselves. Then my respiratory quickened. I understood the vibration in the broccoli and stated into me, warm drops have been flowing through the entice with tremendous excitement. He pulled again and took a deep breath, so did I. The morning light changed into gentle filtering through the curtains like a mild reminder of the whole thing that had occurred. I lay there observing the ceiling. My thoughts full of thoughts. I should hear Liam shifting silently round the room, his boots scraping on the ground. I turned my head to peer him sitting on the edge of the bed. His again, to me, his wide shoulders had been irritating, and he turned into sitting by way of the door, his bag already packed. My chest felt tight. "Are you leaving?" I asked, my voice slightly above a whisper. He nodded, his palms pausing as he tied his shoelaces. He failed to turn round. "I suppose I should go back," he stated softly. I sat up slowly, the sheet sliding down. I returned. My throat became dry, but I managed to invite why. Ultimately he turned to me. His green eyes, always intense, appeared softer now. "Mary," why he stated, alas, his voice full of quiet willpower. "This couldn't cross on it. Is now not proper, and also you stated it yourself." I felt like I couldn't breathe. Yes, I had said that last night time. I had attempted to convince each folks that this wasn't something we could keep. However, now with him standing there equipped to depart, I wasn't so positive. But what if I do not need you to go away? The words slipped out of my mouth earlier than I should forestall them. He froze, his eyes locked on mine for a moment. It felt like time had stopped. Then he crossed the room and knelt in front of me. "So we have been face to face, Mary," he said, his voice breaking, simply sufficient to permit me understand. This was as tough for him as it changed into for me. "I care approximately you more than I should, but this isn't fair to you or to me. It is going to hurt both of us ultimately." I reached out my arms, brushing in opposition to his cheek. "It already hurts," I whispered, my voice trembling. I was carried out feeling this way, Liam. I that a part of me become gone, but you brought it returned. You made me experience alive again. He closed his eyes, leaning into my contact for the briefest second earlier than taking my hand in his. His warm temperature grounded me whilst his phrases cut through me. "You have made me experience things I failed to recognize I may want to," he stated, however. "Staying right here, letting this go on, it will simplest make it tougher for each of us." I nodded, even as tears welled up in my eyes. I knew he was right, but that failed to make it any simpler. "So that's it," I requested, my voice barely audible. "You are just going to walk away." He stood, his actions gradual and planned, like he was fighting every intuition to live. He grabbed his bag and slung it over his shoulder, pausing at the door. "I'll cross," he said, his voice smooth, nearly hesitant. "But Mary, if you ever want me, you understand in which to locate me." And much like that, he turned into long gone. The door clicked close at the back of him, and that I felt the weight of the silence settle over the room. I stayed there for a long time, gazing the empty area in which he had just been. The residence felt so a good deal quieter now, a lot emptier. But as I sat there, something sudden started to stir inner me, sure Liam had left. And yes, it hurt more than I desired to confess. However, he had also left me with something else, a reminder of who I was, of what I ought to nonetheless feel, nonetheless need. I were given up. and walked to the window, looking him disappear down the course closer to the woodland. My hand pressed in opposition to the glass, and a bittersweet smile tugged at my lips. "Goodbye, Liam," I whispered, "and thank you in that second."